All right, so let's say you've poured your heart into building this amazing website. It looks fantastic.
But then how do you get people to actually do stuff once they get there?
Exactly. It's like you've built this beautiful car, but how do you actually get people to take it for a spin? And that's what really caught our eye in episode 15 of Paste to Text. They had some seriously smart ideas on how to make your website convert.
Yeah, what really struck me was how they emphasized those first few seconds after someone lands on your site. Like you have such a tiny window to make a great first impression.
Tiny is right. They were saying something like 2 to 6 seconds before someone decides if they're sticking around.
It's make or break time, basically.
Totally. You barely have time to say hello, let alone explain everything your website's about. So how do you even begin to make those seconds count?
That is the million-dollar question. And it's where a well-designed landing page becomes your secret weapon.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of landing pages a bit. They mentioned a bunch of different types: teaser pages, squeeze pages, viral pages. They even talked about infomercial pages, which I thought was interesting.
Right. Each one has a specific purpose, like a different tool in your website toolbox.
Exactly. For those of us who aren't, coding whizzes, can you break down what makes each of these unique?
Absolutely. So imagine you're about to launch a new product. A teaser page is like building buzz, like a sneak peek before a big premiere.
So it's like those movie trailers that show just enough to get you hyped up.
Exactly. You give them just enough information to pique their curiosity and make them eager to find out more.
I love it. Okay, what about squeeze pages?
Squeeze pages, those are all about capturing leads. You offer something valuable, an ebook, a discount code, access to a webinar in exchange for their email address.
So it's a win-win. They get something awesome, and you get to stay connected.
Precisely. Then there are infomercial pages. Remember those late night infomercials we've all seen?
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, that format works surprisingly well online.
I was kind of surprised by that in the episode. It seems so old school, but hey, if it works, right?
Right. And the reason it works is it taps into this desire for comprehensive information before making a decision. So an infomercial page lets you lay out all the essential details about your product or service,
Hmm.
the features, the benefits, testimonials, all in one place. And you're essentially removing any barrier for someone to say, okay, I'm convinced.
It's like that one friend who does hours of research before buying anything. This gives them all the info they crave in one shot. What about viral pages? Those seem pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, viral pages, they tap into that human desire to share something cool or funny or thought-provoking, like those quizzes everyone shares on social media.
Like, what kind of bread are you?
Exactly. You
Oh.
want to create something so good that people feel compelled to spread the word.
Okay, so no matter what type of landing page you're using, the episode highlighted some key elements that are essential for actually getting people to convert.
And it's not just about looking pretty, although that certainly helps.
Right, it's got to be more than just a pretty face.
You need to be crystal clear about your goal for the page. What do you want visitors to do? What information do you need from them? What action do you want them to take?
So it's like you're giving your visitors a roadmap. You're guiding them toward that desired action.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of guidance, the episode also stressed the importance of a clear and compelling message.
Absolutely. This is where you really sell people on why they should care, why your website is worth their time.
You're solving a problem for them.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget about the power of social proof, testimonials, reviews, all that good stuff.
So crucial. It's like saying, hey, don't just take our word for it. Look at what everyone else is saying.
Right. It's like, well, if they like it, maybe I will too. Speaking of liking it, how do we make sure people stick around long enough to actually get to that point?
Well, it's like, you can have the most amazing storefront, but if the inside of the store is a mess, people aren't going to stick around.
Right. It's all about what's on the inside, ultimately.
Exactly. So we've got this amazing landing page. We've hooked their attention, but then what?
Yeah. How do we keep that momentum going? How do we get them to actually, explore the rest of what we've got?
That's where optimizing your entire website for conversions comes in. Remember those pain points we talked about? Those moments where people might get frustrated, confused. Maybe they can't find what they're looking for.
Right. Like when you can't find the sizing chart or the checkout process has like a million steps.
Exactly. Imagine this. It's like you're finding leaks in your conversion pipeline. You got to plug them up.
I love that analogy. So how do we find those leaks, those pain points, and more importantly, how do we fix them?
Well, sometimes I think we get so close to our own websites, we kind of forget to see them through the eyes of like a first-time visitor.
That's so true. We know our websites inside and out.
All right, so put yourself in their shoes. If you landed on this site for the first time, what would make you hit that back button? What would make you say, nah, this isn't for me?
So it's all about being a little bit of a website detective, right? Looking for those clues and how people are actually using the site.
Exactly. And thankfully, we've got this amazing tool at our disposal called data.
Data, it's like having a crystal ball that tells you exactly what's working and what's not.
Precisely. Analyzing things like your bounce rate. So how many people leave after only viewing one page on your site, time spent on each page, click-through rates, that's going to tell you a lot about what's working and what needs attention.
Data is king. But it can also feel overwhelming sometimes, like where do you even start? What are the most important things to be tracking?
Well, it helps to start by thinking about your goals. Like, what are you really trying to achieve with your website? If it's sales, then you definitely need to be paying close attention to your conversion funnel.
Okay, yes, the conversion funnel. Can you remind us what that is again? It sounds kind of scary.
Not scary at all. Think of it like an actual funnel, wide at the top, narrow at the bottom.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
So at the top, you've got all these visitors coming to your website. As they move through your site, some of them are going to take those actions you want them to take, like signing up for your email list, putting something in their cart, and ultimately making that purchase.
Each step of the way, they're getting closer and closer to that final goal.
Exactly. And by analyzing each stage of that funnel, you can pinpoint where you're losing people, where that drop-off is happening. So it's like, if you're seeing a bunch of people abandon their carts right before they check out, maybe it's time to streamline that process or offer different payment options, things like that.
Exactly. Sometimes it's the small things that can make a big difference.
So don't be afraid to sweat the small stuff.
And here's the thing, optimization. It's not a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing process.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. You got to be willing to experiment, track your results, and adapt as you go along. What works today might not work tomorrow.
It's like that old saying, the only constant is change, right?
Exactly. Embrace that. Don't
Right.
be afraid to try new things and see what happens. You never know what you might discover.
That's what makes this whole world of website optimization so exciting. It's like you're a scientist, but instead of beakers and test tubes, you've got landing pages and calls to action.
I like that. It's all about experimentation.
And the best part is we can actually see what's working, right? It's not just a guessing game.
Exactly. It's like having all these tools to measure the impact of your efforts. We're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Definitely not. Although sometimes A/B testing can feel a little bit like that.
True, true. But hey, even that helps you narrow things down, right? Speaking of narrowing things down, for our listener who's been furiously taking notes this entire time, if they could only take away one big idea from this whole deep dive, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. What would it be? It's like trying to pick a favorite child.
Okay, how about this? Every single element on your website should be designed with conversion in mind.
Ooh, I like that. It's like that old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Right, from the headlines to the images, the colors you use, even something as small as the placement of a button, it all matters.
It's all about creating an experience that guides your visitors exactly where you want them to go.
Precisely. And while we've mainly been talking about landing pages today, you can apply these same principles, clarity, user focus, compelling calls to action, to your entire website.
Oh, that's a good point. It's not just about those initial touch points.
Exactly. Think about it. Your About Us page, product pages, even blog posts, they can all be optimized to encourage conversions.
Even if that conversion is just getting someone to read to the end of a page or click over to another section of your site.
Exactly. It's about thinking strategically about every page, every interaction someone has with your website.
So really, this idea of conversion optimization, it's less about tricks and hacks and more about taking a step back and looking at the big picture.
Absolutely. It's about understanding your audience, their needs, and creating a seamless experience that guides them towards their goals, and in turn, helps you achieve yours.
Well said. It's been awesome picking your brain about all of this. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. I feel like I've learned a ton.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
And for our listeners out there, happy optimizing. Remember, a successful website isn't just about looking good. It's about working smarter, not harder, to achieve those goals. Until next time on The Deep Dive.